Welcome back everybody to another game review. It is MCEvolved, and today we're going to be talking about Warframe. Now, it is a free game, we do understand that, but sometimes we need to get into these free games. We've done multiple free games on this channel, so let's just get right into it. Now, Warframe is a free-to-play, cooperative, third-person shooter as it has been categorized, but you can also play by yourself. It has a little bit of a storyline, especially in the newer versions. Now, according to the Wikipedia page, in Warframe, players control members of the Tenno, a race of ancient warriors who have awoken from centuries of cryosleep to find themselves at war with the Greenyear, a race of militarized human clones, the Corpus, a megacorporation with advanced robotics and laser technology, and the infested, disfigured victims of the Technocyte infection. Now, this game's story mode does have missions, and they are scattered across planet solar systems. You can play during the game. You can go and switch between planets. You have to complete missions in order to get and unlock new planets. Now, at the very beginning of the game, you're supposed to pick your character or your Warframe and then start a tutorial. Now, Warframes can go from many different selections. I'm going to name off as an example, like Volt, Excalibur, Mag. There's a lot of Warframes that you can pick from. Now, with each Warframe comes with a lot of different abilities. They have their own unique abilities, their own different style, their own different weapons that you can choose from, their own gear and all that, but they all fall under the same storyline. Now, the tutorial obviously is just a tutorial. It shows you how to play the game or whatnot, and then after the tutorial is where you're able to start the storyline, where you go into a ship and you get directed around the entirety of the ship, and then you get to start your first quest.
But now, something has risen from the ruins of the old war.
Now, missions, regardless of if you're doing a solo or if you're doing it with a team, it is probably the main component of this game rather than just fighting and killing everybody. Now, there are a lot of different missions as well as a lot of different planets you can go onto, but a lot of these missions have these different types of objectives, and here's a few of them. A lot of them are just player versus, the environment, such as arena, assassination, capture, deception, defense, hijack, mobile defense, but there's a lot of player versus player as well, where you can actually go into multiplayer, such as annihilation, duel, and solo rail conflict. Since this is a game review, I am going to be giving in my opinion to the missions and everything about the game. So personally, I do think the missions are fun. I haven't gotten into the game entirely. I have gotten into the missions a little bit, but as a whole, it is pretty much just grinding to get some of your qualities of your character or your Warframe, and get some of the abilities and get some of the extra Warframes as well. It's kind of like you have to play the game yourself in order to figure out exactly what you may like about it. I personally just like playing the player versus everybody, or the player versus the environment missions, where you have to pretty much kill every creature that's trying to kill you or whatnot and do the objectives. One of the things I don't like about those missions though is that it takes a very long time to get those missions to be completed. So many objectives, you have to pretty much, it's like a lot of time consuming. And in some of these missions, if you actually end up leaving mid-game, you won't be able to get anything out of it. So it's like wasting your time almost. There is a lot more to that, but that's just the gist of the missions, since there's, a lot of missions and whatnot. So let's keep going. Now, multiplayer PvP is not something I actually ever got into before, but I have gone into multiplayer cooperative. But what I have seen in multiplayer PvP is it's pretty much the same thing as the campaign, but you're set on one map. It's like all those other third-person shooter games where you pretty much just go and have a deathmatch. But co-op campaign is a lot more different than that. There may be a lot of different reasons why you're in co-op campaign: to probably grind to get more XP, to be able to gather points around and then be able to buy a lot of different upgrades or whatnot, gather certain items to allow yourself to get more Warframes. Overall, in general, there's a lot of different reasons why you can be playing co-op campaign, and it's just fun all around because you're able to play with friends, be able to kill a bunch of zombies or whatnot, or not zombies, but creatures or whatnot. But once again, one thing I do have to add about that is that it takes a very long time to complete a mission when you're in co-op campaign. I don't know about deathmatch or whatever the PvP is, but it takes a very long time, or at least what I've experienced before in co-op campaign. Another downside to playing co-op campaign, or pretty much just playing the campaign in general, is that it gets very repetitive and it starts to get a little bit confusing and whatnot, and that's just at least what I've experienced. But when it comes down to it, there isn't really much to explain about multiplayer. It's just the same thing as campaign, but instead you're more interactive with other people, so that's pretty much that. So my entire opinion on this game is that, you know, when I first started the game, it was very fun, and it just kept getting more fun as I kept going and kept learning about the game a lot more. But of course, the more I played, the more I grinded, the more I played multiplayer co-op, it just kept getting a lot like repetitive. And the only thing that seemed to happen was that I just kept leveling up my character over and over and over again, kept waiting multiple days at a time just so I can get like items made, and then I can be able to upgrade or even make any more like warframes. Which that's also one other issue I had, is that if you wanted to, like, say, make another warframe or get items or parts to make a warframe, because in order to get a special upgrade or special item, you had to get smaller items and get smaller things by grinding and going into campaign or co-op campaign, whatever, and getting these items so you can make the bigger item, such as like a warframe or a weapon or whatnot. You had to basically wait after making the item. You had to wait for it to be established or for it to be processed, and then you'd finally get it, which is most likely going to be 24 hours to even 73 hours. And also, I would recommend just, you know, taking it slow, because you're not going to take in the entirety of the game in all in one day. I couldn't do that either. But if you take it in slow and actually pay attention to what the game is trying to tell you and try to actually read everything, then yeah, you'll be able to get it in pretty quickly. So that was my opinion on the game. You know, it's just a little bit repetitive after a while. Try not to overdo it, I guess. And there's a lot of things in the game that just take a really long time, and I guess you just need to develop a lot of patience. But that's that, and let's keep going. To basically conclude everything that's in this video, this game is very open. It's very complicated if you just go into it right away without any type of knowledge or prior knowledge to this game whatsoever. There's a lot definitely to it. There's not just one set thing. That said, there's multiple different branches that it goes out into. That is until you meet multiplayer, which is pretty much the same thing as campaign, but instead you're just with other people or you're just killing other people. But other than multiplayer, single player campaign is just a lot of different things about it. There's so many different warframes you can get into, so many different missions, different planets. There's all around a different variety, a whole set of variety of different things that you may be able to do in this game. But my favorite part is just a whole around co-op campaign, just grinding. Although it really does get repetitive, as I said like 2 other times in this video. That's just the main issue I've ever had with this game, is that it gets very repetitive and it gets kind of boring after a while. Of course, the experience may be different for everyone. If you have a different opinion, or if you have the same experience, the same opinion as me, you may leave a comment down below and I may respond to you. Any other question that you may have, just comment down anything you want down below. I don't really care what it is, constructive criticism, because this is the first time I'm ever actually doing this layout of game reviews. So if you guys want to see anything different, if you guys want me to go back to my other game review style, then yeah, I could do it. But I think that's been it, and if you guys have any other questions, just like I just said, then please comment down below and I will try to respond just as soon as possible. So that's been it, guys. See you later.